Hey, how's it going, everybody? Another month, another couple of build guides. Alright, let's get into it. So, first up, of course, got two builds this month, like usual. This month, I didn't really go with a set budget. I kind of changed up a little this month. I was kind of going for themed builds, for lack of a better term. So, on one hand, we have the kind of all-around family computer, can be good for mom and dad to surf the web and email, and kids for homework, that kind of whole thing. And on the other hand, we have a mostly bang for buck with a couple of upper tier option gaming rig. Yeah, so definitely very varied prices and jobs these PCs will be doing. So let's get right into it. So we're going to do the family PC first because I actually had a lot of fun picking up the parts for this one. I think this would be a great computer to get things done around the house. So first things first, case Bitphoenix Comrade. I went with the windowed black version of this case. It was on sale, which didn't hurt, but the window's nice to show off your parts. And of course, Bitphoenix makes good stuff, so I definitely recommend that case. Power supply, Corsair CX430M. It's almost kind of like a go-to budget power supply now because, A, it's modular, B, it's 80 plus bronze, no pun intended, and Corsair is just a reputable name. I've used a couple of their power supplies myself, and I like them, so for $60, can't really go wrong on that one. Storage, no SSD. I just went with a Western Digital Caviar Blue 1 terabyte, simply because performance isn't really going to be a huge deal with this computer. If it's just for general family use kind of thing, which is what this build is intended to be, I don't really necessarily think an SSD is warranted here. Plus, you get a terabyte of storage for $70. It's hard to go wrong for that. For all the main guts with the proc, I went with a Core i3-6100 from Intel. I was going to go with a Pentium, but the i3 is going to help if you got a whole bunch of stuff going on at once, whether that's a whole bunch of internet tabs and listening to music, whatever. It'll be a little bit better for multitasking, and the HD 530 graphics in it are going to be nice for all sorts of content viewing and all that kind of thing as well. For RAM, I went with an 8 gig kit, so there's lots of RAM to spare. It is a G.Skill Ripjaws 5 two 4 gig stick kit, and it's DDR4 at 2400 megahertz. $50 for that. I mean, enough said. And the board, I was very stoked for actually on this build because it was what are we here? The Gigabyte H110M S2HP. And the reason I really like this board is for $93, it packs in a lot of stuff. Like, a lot, considering for the price. So on the back, we have a VGA, a DVI, PS2 for mouse and keyboard, two USB 2, two USB 3, your audio connections, gigabit Ethernet, and then you have an HDMI 1.4 port. So even if you have a 4K TV and you want to watch video on that, you want to hook this computer up to it, you're good to go, which is nice. And there's a USB 3.1 Type A as well as a 3.1 Type C. Good job, Gigabyte. For a $93 board, that is awesome. So there's fast connectivity, and you're kind of future-proof when you get some new devices. When newer stuff starts coming out in the next year or two, you start seeing USB Type-C stuff. You can hook that into this, and you'll be totally good to go. Now, normally, as you guys know, I tend to include a copy of Windows with my computer builds, but with this one, I actually didn't. This build came up to $496.91, just under the $500 mark. One of the reasons, of course, I didn't include Windows was to keep costs down. I wanted it to be around $500, and if I had to get a copy of Windows, I would definitely not be getting an i3. I probably wouldn't be getting, 8 gigs RAM, and I probably wouldn't be getting a modular power supply. So, in this case, because it's a family computer and it's going to be very general use, I'm going to go ahead and recommend Linux for this. Of course, the money savings is nice, but something like Ubuntu using GNOME would be nice, or Linux Mint. Those would probably be my two big ones. I also like Fedora as well. I don't want to say there's a little bit more learning involved, but Fedora is very, very clean looking. No desktop icons by default if you get Fedora GNOME, which I personally like, but there's lots of options for Linux out there. But certainly Fedora, Ubuntu, and Linux Mint would probably be my three big ones that I recommend. There's lots of others. I know. Hey, if you guys want to comment on something else you think people should use for doing this kind of stuff at home, then by all means, I'd love to have people's opinions in the comments. So let me know what Linux distro you like for basic everyday stuff. But that is the home computer build. Let's move on to the gaming build, the fun one. This one is cool. So first things first, case. Well, actually no, sorry. First things first, copy of Windows 10 Home. There. Now we're done. Okay. Case. the Be Quiet Silent Base 600, not the 800, not the big guy. I went with the 600 because it offers really good value for the money. It's got a lot of connectivity as far as USB on the front, which I like. There's two USB 3 and two USB 2, which is awesome. I always like having lots of USB ports on the front where I can get at them. And of course, it's all black with a window. Now, the window thing is preference. I understand that. You can get this without a window if you'd like. And they'll replace the window with some nice sound dampening material, so that's a nice bonus. But for this particular case, I went with the window because I like to show off my work. I think a lot of us gamers do. We like to show off our rigs. So yeah, blacked out Silent Base 600 from Be Quiet. Power supply. Surprise, surprise, another Corsair one. What can I say, guys? They go on sale and they're nice. CS. Oh, looks like my furnace kicks on. Well, I guess we can have a little background audio for our video. Anyway, so Corsair CS 750M. So it's a 750 watt power supply. It is semi-modular, just like the last one as well. But this one is gold certified, so it's very efficient, which I like. And 750 watts is going to give you a lot of headroom if you want to do overclocking, if you want to add in more hard drives or add in more video cards, whatever you want to do. The power supply will not be a limitation for you, which is key here. Next up, we'll do RAM. I went with a 16 gig kit this time because, well, I know how I am. I usually, when I have a game open, I have a bunch of Chrome tabs and a bunch of other crap usually open in the background, and 8 gigs is okay, but you can easily chew through 8 gigs nowadays, I think, so 16 is pretty reasonable, especially when 16 gig kits are so cheap nowadays. I got a 16 gig kit, that's two 8 gig sticks, of Kingston HyperX Fury, and that's 2133 DDR4 for 90 bucks. 90 bucks Canadian, that's awesome. So definitely, for that price, I really don't see any reason why I should not go with 16. I mean, that way you're set. There's newer games that are going to be coming out that are going to start recommending 16 gigs. Quantum Break was one of them. Now, it remains to be seen whether or not we'll actually need more than 8 gigs, because I'm assuming the only reason they'd recommend 16 is if, you know, they know you need more than 8, but probably not quite 16 realistically. Remains to be seen if games will really need that much, but regardless, it's cheap. Now you have it. It will not be a concern. You're good to go. Next up, storage. I went with a Samsung 850 EVO 500 gig edition. The reason for this is because hard drives are so cheap. Like I said in the last build, I managed to get a 1 terabyte Caviar Blue from Western Digital for 70 bucks. With the 850 EVO being what it is, I don't see any reason why it shouldn't go up, get a bigger SSD now. You can easily get more storage later on if you need it, but 500 gigs gives you some growing room. You know, you're not going to install Windows in like 3 or 4 games and then be like, oh crap, my hard drive's full. So that's why we went with that, and that was 210 bucks, which is, you can get cheaper hard drives, but I like the quality the 850 EVO has. I believe it has a 5-year warranty on it as well, which is awesome. Samsung has good warranties on their stuff, so kudos to them for that. What else we got here? Okay, so I guess we will do, we're into the meat and potatoes now. So for a proc, I went with the Core i5 6600K. I was going to go with the i7, but the i7s are really, really expensive right now, like over 500 bucks expensive. So this being a pure gaming rig, I didn't really think it was necessary, so we went with the i5 for $349, which is still expensive, but hey, what do you do? I went with the i5, but with the money I saved, I managed to get a better cooler, so I went with a Corsair H60 liquid cooler. That's just a single 120 rad cooler, nothing super fancy, but it'll be more than enough to get a moderate overclock on this proc, which is really what it's all about here. We're all about getting more performance with what we have. I wanted this to be not cheap, but not complete high-end either, so I think that's a good mix for a gamer. You can get an i5 and you can overclock it pretty decently and get yourself some good performance. For a motherboard, where are we here? Can't remember. Oh yeah, MSI Z170A-SLI. Couple reasons why I went with this board. It's got a decent feature set. It's not like super decked out, but you know, you've got the Turbo M.2, which is nice, so you can throw whatever M.2 drive in there later if you want. USB Type-C still on the back, a couple USB 3s, couple USB 2s, Gigabyte Ethernet, you know, all the standard stuff. But the thing I like about this board in particular is a couple of other people I've seen do this as well, but the PCI Express 16 slots are actually reinforced with a metal casing, which I really like the idea of, because, you know, video card sag is definitely a thing. And I don't know how bad it could be in the very long term, but I know I've had my card. I have a 290X WinForce Gigabyte card in my case, and I've only had it for about a year and a half, and it's already starting to sag quite a bit. So it remains to be seen. Maybe that'd be something to do a video on. Video card sag. I don't know. If you guys want to see a weird look into video card sagging, let me know, because that's something I could do. But anyway, the reinforced PCI Express slots should kind of help prevent that, which is good. And of course, the board is all blacked out, which is awesome because that goes with my kind of black theme I have going here. We got the black case, black motherboard, black RAM. It's gonna be a very stealth build, which is awesome. Last but not least, certainly not least, the video card. This is one I kind of struggled with for this build. I originally went with a 390X Strix, but I ended up settling on a GTX 980 G1 from Gigabyte. Reason for that is cooler, quieter, more efficient, all the typical stuff you normally hear, but don't let the 390X scare you away. It takes a little bit more power, it's a little bit more warmer, sure, but it's screaming fast as well. It's a little bit slower than the 980. Not much, but a little bit slower. And even in some games, honestly, they kind of trade blows here and there. So it's very, very close, but it is like 130, 140 bucks less. So if you can find a good deal on a 390X Strix, I'd honestly probably go for that. But the 980 G1 was on sale, so I picked up that. It was still not cheap, 685 bucks, but this is all about gaming performance, and that's where you're going to get it, is your video card. So I don't really feel, I feel a little justified spending a little more in that regard, but you know, hey, that brings our total to 1984 and 88, so just under $2,000. Definitely not a cheap build, but with the parts that are in here, you're going to be doing some very, very high-end gaming. If you have a 1080p panel, you're pretty much going to max everything, like pretty much, with, you know, a couple exceptions here or there, but for all intents and purposes, you can pretty much expect to max almost anything you want for the most part. If you're playing 1440p, not quite maxing everything, but pretty close, man. And of course, you're playing at 4K. I mean, that's 4K, you're turning stuff down. But if you're playing at 1080 or 1440, you can expect to, within reason, max almost anything with this system. So that's the big thing. Video card's got a lot of horsepower, and that's where you need the most. So, if any of you guys have any, opinions on some of the parts I've picked, if you think that I shouldn't have picked this, or should have picked something else, let me know. I definitely want to hear your guys' opinions. I'd like some feedback and what you think on these videos. So yeah, thanks for watching. I always appreciate it. Feel free to, like the video, subscribe, all that stuff. I really do appreciate that, guys. I'm trying to get a little community of us together here, so I can help you guys out, help you guys pick out some PCs. Want to get more people onto the platform. It's what it's all about. So, as always, thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the next video.